I've been a weaver for 18 years and I was looking to make something for an art show. And while I was, looking around Instagram, looking for ideas, something that would be kind of nautical, I came across these doormats that were designed in the 70s by this guy, Dave Carter, in Maine. He had a business where he sold new lobster rope to lobster fishermen, and he wanted to sell more rope. And so he came up with this doormat design and taught it to his crew. So in the off season, he had them making doormats to push more rope. And they did that in the 70s and 80s. And then one of the guys took off with the business in the 90s and was selling them online, in early www days. And then in 2009, the feds banned this one type of lobster fishing rope. And so when they did, all the lobstermen had to cut it off their pots, and it was on the docks, and there were just millions of pounds of it, and nobody knew what to do. So one of his crew went down to the docks and taught all the families how to weave up doormats, and none of that line went into the landfill. And it started this huge endeavor around the world to use local fishing rope to make, instead of keeping it out of landfill, and making useful products like doormats. And then baskets evolved out of that, and then I just kept going with it and creating new and unique things. So as I was looking for something to submit into an art show, I was originally thinking I was going to grab beach garbage and make something emotional and powerful and environmental, and just invoke a strong emotional reaction. But then I thought, it was going to be here at the Visual Arts Center, and I thought, well, that doesn't really represent Newport, and these are all Newport artists. I don't want to put out beach garbage and say, hey, look at all this garbage on the beaches of Newport. That just doesn't send a message that I thought was conducive to something that would invoke positive feelings. And so when I came across these doormats, I thought, yeah, I'm just going to hit the dumpsters. And so everything I make is dumpster art. I don't get any beach garbage, and I don't get it anyplace else except for the Port of Newport. And so I hit those dumpsters at sunrise and sunset every day and just start, I just grab all kinds of things. Sometimes it's crab line, which is what I make most of my stuff with. And then the rest is I use for art. But so it just kind of like built and turned into a business before I really knew what was happening. So I started making the doormats thinking, well, we'll make art with this, but these doormats, people buy functional art, functional things faster than they will original one-of art. So I was using the doormats and baskets as like a gateway drug to my art, get them hooked with the functional, and then they come back for more. So, and that's pretty much what's happened. So none of this was intentional. It just kind of grew, and it's just a hobby on steroids. And I'm just trying to keep up. I have no idea what I'm doing. I just keep going. I have to say yes to every opportunity. I love, I like being able to call my own shots, like decide how my day is going to go. Like I know what sells, and I can decide, do I need to make extra mats, or do I want to make extra doormats? I could spend, Monday making mats and Tuesday making baskets. I can call my own shots. And also by having my own space, I love that I can have my dogs at work with me every day, because our kids are grown and gone, and I miss them terribly, and they don't want to move back home. And so I do have the dogs, and I just take them with me everywhere I go. So I love it, and they love it. And there's not a lot of jobs where you could, I decide I am bringing my dogs to work. And so I had to make some adjustments and modifications and fence in an area, but I call my own shots. There are downsides to that as well. I don't always make the right calls, and there's a lot of things like self-employment tax and managing your bookkeeping. There's a lot of complexities and expenses involved with being a solopreneur that that can be a little overwhelming. But for me, it's worth it. I'm ready for those challenges, and I'm not afraid of them, which is key, because ignoring challenges is not a solution. But I do like it, and I kind of think now I might be ruined for employment. I don't know that I could work for somebody else, because I like being my own boss. The hardest thing is you have to be 100% self-motivated. Nobody cares if you succeed or fail. Only you. You are your own advocate. So do something that you're passionate about. And I read this article by this guy, Seth Godin. He started marketing email era. He's the one who invented, email marketing. So he's older, but he sends out this email every day with words of wisdom. And the other day he sent an email in it, and he asked, "What do you think of when your mind wanders? When you're just daydreaming and have all the free time, and where does your mind go? What do you think of doing? Are you scuba diving? Are you brushing your dog? Are you weaving like I am? But that is where your passion and your desires lie, and chase those. Whether it's maybe for a hobby or maybe it's for a career. Who knows? But there's a flip side to that too. Once you turn your hobby into a business, it loses some of the fun. Making a doormat is fun. Making 100 doormats is not as fun. So, there's it's a catch-22 on that one. But you have to do something that you really enjoy and really want to do, because nobody is waking you up in the morning to do it. There are many days where you don't even have cheerleaders. You are your own cheerleader. You have to find your own motivation, and sometimes that comes in the form of a lot of caffeine, because it's just not there, and it's hard to keep going and keep wanting to go. You may want to go to the movies, or I don't know if anybody does that anymore. You may just want to stay home and watch Netflix. So only you can get yourself out the door, and so that takes a certain type of personality it's hard to come by. A lot of businesses fold because they didn't actually have what it took, or they're in jail because they evaded taxes and broke business laws. Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. Yes, in that I know that the shop that I'm standing in and everything for sale out in the store are things that came from me. I worked hard and built this from nothing. So I do feel like I am in charge, and I've done a good job. And then other times I feel like the customer is the boss, because I may be working on something, but I have to stop and talk to them and give them good attention, give them a quality experience, and a quality conversation. So sometimes I think they're the boss, and then sometimes the dogs are the boss. Sometimes they just sit and stare at me and want to go home, and it's 3:00, and I think, well, I am the boss, so yeah, I could call it for a day, but sometimes they really called it. Learn everything you can about it. Every day when I wake up, I tell myself, when I go to bed tonight, I want to go to bed smarter than when I woke up. Learn something new every single day, and just don't jump too fast. Really chew on ideas. Maybe write it down and put it on the wall and think about where, think about where that might go. Try to think of all of the potential outcomes, good and bad, and be smart in your choices. I think it's extremely important to build your intelligence, because nobody is going to hand it to you. No one's going to feed it to you. No one's going to give you a book about how what will succeed, what won't succeed, because there'll be a lot of failures and then some successes. I do things all the time. I think, holy heck, that is brilliant. And then nobody wants to buy it. That is normal. So really take calculated risks and form intelligent options. Really do the research, get as smart as you can. There's Google and YouTube, and those are all wonderful resources. Universities are great resources if you want to get a degree in that field and really build up that foundation of knowledge. Or just hit the Oregon Coast Community College Small Business Association and talk out your plan to somebody. It's confidential. They will never tell your secrets to anyone if you've got a brilliant idea that you don't want someone to steal. But it's a really great resource just to bounce ideas off of and see what missing links are there that you may not be seeing, and then get smart on